This is the Make Life Rich Movement podcast with me, your host, Sara Kelly. In this movement, I invite entrepreneurs, both brand spanking new and seasoned vets, to join me in sharing their thought processes around business strategy, growth, and crafting a business that you can actually live with. In this show, I'm going to teach you step by step how to build the business of your life that you have always wanted while helping you to organize and grow with strategy. When there is strategy to be shared and learned from, you can guarantee we will cover it here in an episode. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we craft your dream life together with interviews with some of my favorite entrepreneurs. And on Sundays, we do the Sunday strategy session, where I give you a template and your plan for the week ahead to grow your business ahead 1%. So grab your bevy of choice, my Richies, a notepad for brainstorming, settle into your comfy chair, and join me on the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. It's time to grow, my Richies.
Thank you.
Let's go.
And as always, make life rich.
Hello, my Richies, and welcome back to another episode of the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. My name is Sara. I'm your host. And in today's episode of the Sunday Strategy Sessions, we're going to talk about preserving your peace and your foundational support during tumultuous times like an election. We are approaching what is absolutely going to be a historical moment for America, one way or the other. And there's so much turmoil and upset and angst surrounding this time that we are in. And in the closing weeks, we are absolutely going to be finding ourselves in a place where we have to make decisions, and making those decisions and wondering who's making what other decisions, and then ultimately wondering what the outcome will be, are all things that you have absolutely no control over. And saying this as someone that is prone to feeling anxiety about anything political or, catastrophic just happening in the world. Everyone says it, but it's been a really crazy last 4 years. And I'm sure you're a lot like me, where you are just looking to find a little bit of semblance of peace and hope and belief that everything is going to be okay. And although we want to lean into the understanding of our reality, we do not need to allow feelings of fear that may be induced from your understanding of our current reality to control you. There's no need for that to control you, the fear and the anxiety that comes from understanding the world that we live in. For me, I've tried my very best to let my words and my actions lead me to a direction that is going away from all of the negativity and all of the aspects and actions of life that aren't working towards a better future for everyone. In reclaiming for myself this space of understanding that I have a lot of control over how I feel about the world based on how I interact with it with my words has been a game changer for me, certainly in moments of high peaking anxiety. I had some pretty intense anxiety this morning, and combined with some breath work that I am very fond of now because of a client that I'm working with that you'll be hearing about soon in a future episode, dealing all with her breath work and what her business surrounds. This breath work combined with positive words that I could tell myself that held me into a higher regard of trusting and knowing that everything's going to be okay was the recipe to help me avoid anxiety taking over my whole day like it used to. Things like political upset, so many things that I can't legally say or I will get flagged on Spotify and YouTube are our current reality. And previous Sara, before having some of these tools of managing my words and my thoughts and having breath work, would have gone off the deep end onto Reddit. I would have been on Twitter. I would have been looking on Instagram for proof that oh my God, the world is ending. Even if it is, there's nothing I can do about it, but I sure as heck can manage how I am receiving this information and allowing it to emotionally affect me. And for some, physically affect you. Your anxiety can get peaked to the point of an anxiety attack, which is the physical body reaction of anxiety, just reaching a boiling point where the kettle spills over and you have to do something in that moment to bring yourself down. So what are these words that I'm talking about that are helping me to be able to bring more peace and faith into my life during moments of like serious upset? There were two attempts made on someone's life over the last few months. And in general, regardless of what your politics are, there's no room whatsoever for any kind of violence, let alone the threat of like ending a life. And for that to have happened twice just makes me really, really, really uneasy about the state of our country that we're in right now. And it scares me. And it scares me because it makes me feel like the overwhelming amount of us are allowing fear, to rule us rather than allowing it to be a tool to help us guide ourselves to the places within us that need a little bit more support. So we do feel safe and sturdy, even during these moments of like sheer chaos. And it got me thinking, although the last 4 years have certainly done enough thinking on this topic, you would imagine, but it seems as though we are continually steeping further and further into a place of just America's broken. Much like the rest of the world, America is broken, and we're living in a time and a place now where it's really almost impossible for anyone to deny that that is the case. It's something you're starting to hear be admitted a lot more out loud now, followed by a ton of promises. And although these promises are great, and all I can do is hope that whomever is elected is going to do their very best by the country, I know that at the end of the day, I alone am in charge of my emotional output based on the interactions that are coming in, right? So when I'm thinking about these positive words, I am almost evangelical about the amount of faith and belief and positivity that I'm putting into these affirmations that I give myself. So let's just take that. Let's say you're still reeling from the fact that we live in a country where people are comfortable taking or attempting to take out a candidate because they don't agree with them and their politics. And then you feel that tightness in your chest and you're like, my goodness, what if they were to take out my candidate? What if others are hurt as was done in the first attempt when that man was beeping out the word by not saying it because of restrictions on platforms. But sadly, we all know what happened that day. And the thought of it happening again can really keep you in a place of just absolute shock, freeze, thinking every moment about what's going to happen next. We're getting closer and closer to the date of the election, and there is just so much uncertainty. So for me, in the moments of uncertainty, I like to turn it around on its head. I am certain that what happens next is what was meant for the highest good. I am certain that by having faith in myself and knowing that I can weather any storm, I will be okay in the future no matter what. I am certain that there are good people out there, just like I believe myself to be, that are going to work together in uncertain times and scary times to make times better for the greater good. I take what I'm afraid of and I flip it on its head and I say the exact opposite. And I say it, and I try my very best to believe that it's true. And over time, it's going to take time. I do truly start to believe it's true. I do start to realize that like just telling myself like, hey, it's going to be okay. No matter what happens, you're going to get through it. Sometimes is all I needed to be able to just check the mark on that anxiety and off it goes on its way. It may seem silly and it may sound futile with everything we're against on so many levels in so many universes. We got a lot coming at us and it can feel overwhelming. And I know for me, for one, it's an absolute blessing to know that I can bring myself down from that place of panic. And I can truly put out that good vibe that will hopefully archetype the future that's better suited not only for me and my peace, but for the world and its peace. These kinds of ways of living for me are the way that I like to live in daily prayer. And I don't consider myself an organized person of religion. I am a person of full faith and spirituality and knowing that everything that is meant to happen is going to happen. I am in full awareness of my ability to choose how I move forward. And those actions that I take lead to untold ripple effects that are only going to match that good vibe and frequency I'm putting out. And in essence, are just going to continue to bring good things my way. We are in charge of so much more than we believe. We have so much more power over ourselves, especially up here with the thoughts that we allow ourselves to think. We can rewire our brains to move away from anxiety and more move towards a place of comfort and security. We can help our unconscious actions that are no longer healthy for us and no longer needed for coping to move to a place to where we are thriving. You are able to do this. It starts with mindset, and it starts with understanding that you are in far more control of your feelings and what you do with them than you think. And I hope by me telling you how I like to work with my emotions to steer them in a better direction, that you will try doing the same. There are so many books out there that I could recommend that would help you with this, but anything written by Joe Dispenza is going to be a really great place to start. And if you don't find yourself in a space to be able to read a whole book because his books are chunky and they're full of facts, then any YouTube video or interview that you can bring up with him is going to give you a really thorough synopsis of everything I just said, but some science dumped in there, a ton of data, and in essence, person that brought all of these things together, all of these studies together, he knows best how to help you figure out what this practice looks like for your life. If you're curious and you'd like to know more, I encourage you to listen through the Sunday strategy sessions on this show. Personal development is absolutely more than half of the content that we cover during our Sunday strategy sessions, especially as of late. And you can find a boatload of mindset tips and tricks that are going to help you take your mindset to the next level. It's going to help you to raise to the higher version of yourself that you can feel yourself internally aching for. And I, for one, cannot wait for you to meet them. It means so much to me to have your time and attention, and I would absolutely love to learn about what this episode has done for you. You can feel free to leave me a voice message using the link in the show notes below, or you can always DM me over on Instagram, the link also provided below. My Richies, as always, I'm so thankful for your time and attention, and make life rich. This is the Make Life Rich Movement podcast with me, your host, Sara Kelly. In this movement, I invite entrepreneurs, both brand spanking new and seasoned vets, to join me in sharing their thought processes around business strategy, growth, and crafting a business that you can actually live with. In this show, I'm going to teach you step by step how to build the business of your life that you have always wanted while helping you to organize and grow with strategy. When there is strategy to be shared and learned from, you can guarantee we will cover it here in an episode. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we craft your dream life together with interviews with some of my favorite entrepreneurs. And on Sundays, we do the Sunday strategy session, where I give you a template and your plan for the week ahead to grow your business ahead 1%. So grab your bevy of choice, my Richies, a notepad for brainstorming, settle into your comfy chair, and join me on the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. It's time to grow, my Richies.
Thank you.
Let's go.
And as always, make life rich.